Shri M.V. Rajeev Gowda.
Professor.
Professor, Doctor.
All that. Thank you very much.
How many minutes would you want?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Fine.
Sure. So the great economist
He wants to speak 5. I suppose if you don't intervene, it will be better.
No word out of place, I assure you. So the great economist Joseph Schumpeter talked about creative destruction in the economy. When a company thinks that its technology is dominating, it has a monopoly, at that very moment, some other innovation will come up which will change the game, drive that company out of business, and take over the market. An example, Kodak had its moment, but today we all know that with cameras in cell phones, we don't have that kind of a camera industry anymore. So this is the order of things, and entrepreneurs know that. They know that they are taking a risk. There is a chance of success. There is a chance of failure as well. In Silicon Valley, they've certainly learned how to deal with failure. It is something that they appreciate. They say some company may have started and it may not succeed. They give an opportunity to pick up and start all over again. And it's not seen as a taint or something that damns a particular entrepreneur. So we need to create an environment where companies can close down, where entrepreneurs can pick up and start on new inventions, new innovations, new businesses as they move forward. In India, though, sir, the situation is a little more complicated by our history. We have a long tradition of promoters who have siphoned off money from companies, who have inflated project costs, made the bank pay most of the money for that, and then essentially walk away and leave the bank in the lurch, leave labor in the lurch, and create a real mess for everybody for years and years to come. We needed a mechanism to resolve these kinds of issues, and this bill is a wonderful step in the direction of essentially dealing with bankruptcy and insolvency in a manner that would enable the economy to pick up and move forward once again. But as the title of the bill itself says, it focuses purely on bankruptcy and insolvency and has very, very little emphasis on turnaround. This is what Tapan Kumar Sen was also talking about, revival, and not enough emphasis is there in this bill. Now, I just want to bring a variety of points to the attention of the minister on issues that must be addressed. The very first dimension is the one about expertise. Where are the turnaround specialists in our economy whose expertise could be drawn upon to help companies revive themselves? We don't have enough, and that's a real challenge. Similarly, when we talk about insolvency professionals who will be needed in significant numbers and the other kinds of organizations that are also going to be required, it is not going to happen overnight. We're going to require a huge amount of focused effort on the part of the government, along with business schools, along with industry bodies, to ensure that we have the personnel that can actually come forward and help make this bill's plans an actual reality. Then, there is also one clause where you talk about performance bonds for the professional groups that are going to be involved in this entire process. The amounts required for those performance bonds are enormous, and professionals would not be able to raise those amounts. And something needs to be done to ensure that those kinds of organizations are not going to be disincentivized from coming and participating in this very, very crucial sector of the economy. As I talk about performance bonds and money, it brings me to the finance dimension. We need debt. We need the ability to leverage in order to help companies turn around. In the absence of a deep bond market in this country, where are such funds going to come from? A third dimension that is a challenge is the regulatory dimension. Many of the professionals that are going to be involved in this are, say, people like chartered accountants, have a different set of professional rules and responsibilities, which may conflict with the role that they're expected to play in this particular domain. What rules are you going to frame? How are you going to structure some kind of compatibility between these professional norms and the kinds of obligations they have here? An even more important dimension is the strategic and gaming dimension. It is entirely possible that competitors, or even if in the case of political witch hunts, when a company is going through a bad patch, some other company will induce creditors to try and initiate a bankruptcy proceeding. This is something to be watched out for, and and we have to. And that's at the moment, even a hint is given out or information is leaked that can prove devastating to a company's financial strength, to its health, and to its ability to survive and cope. So there are other dimensions. The CAG dimension, always looking over the shoulder of bankers. In such a case, not wasting any moment, sir. Give me a moment. In such a case, which banker will agree to a distress sale and to a much lower settlement amount when they face the risk of being questioned much later? There's also this time constraint, while it's a very good thing from the point of view of settling and moving on, also creates a situation where you're not providing enough time for other solutions. You're probably going to allow, it's going to result in fire sales. The residual value in companies may not be fully captured, and maybe just real assets may be captured. A lot of the intangible assets, the organizational capital, all these sorts of aspects will not be addressed and will be undervalued and let go. There are 2-3 other points, very, very quickly.
No,
so, on the international aspects, so there is a UN Commission on International Trade Law.
Your time is over.
I know that, sir, but if this bill has to be improved, that's my job. I'm doing that. Let me do it. So when we have this kind of, lots of international disputes exist, companies operate in multiple countries. So if we use their model law on cross-border insolvency, where India becomes the center for main interest and the central jurisdiction, you will be in a position to actually work with 42 other countries and ensure that these international disputes will be resolved. Please add this into the rules. There's one more concern I have. Lots of promoters, fearing bankruptcy, may siphon off assets, may sell off assets. Now, whichever insolvency professionals go in afterwards need to be empowered with rules, with court authority, whatever, to get that money that was, or the assets that were sold off, get that back, to ensure that those are part of this package when the actual settlement takes place. And finally, I don't know what the game is during the transition phase. There is a SARFAESI Act, there are joint lending forums, there are so many other forums which can be shopped at the current moment. How are you going to address, how are you going to ensure that this particular law is going to take precedence over the rest?
Okay.
So, we all know that this kind of an act is vitally needed. There's been a lot of mess in the system. When they come for a loan, they come in a Maruti 800. When they come to file bankruptcy, they come in a BMW. So these are all issues that you need to take account of. Yes. Let me point out that this is a very good move, and it reminds me of Dr. Manmohan Singh's SEBI Act, which was also a very, very crucial foundational act in terms of the financial infrastructure of this country. So I do hope that this bill will work as we envisage with the suggestions that we've all made in the course of this debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Point of order.
Sir, that please ask these members and stop the members going and talking to the gallery. And I think gallery people should also avoid talking to the member directly. Minister can speak, we have no problem.
Yeah, that is correct. Members should not go.
So I will indeed see to it that direction has been passed.
I have just one small query of the Honourable.
Yeah, yes.
Which is
All
already
right.
Two small queries. One, what happens to SICA, what happens to SARFAESI, and what happens to the DRT Act once this code comes into place? I just want some clarity on that. And second, what is the essential difference between the Chapter 11 process and the code that you're bringing about? I just want to understand what is the essence, because I presume that the template has been the Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. I'd like to know what is the essential difference between these two.
Okay, now